But I want us tonight to spare a thought for those that may not have been able to afford a fan, let alone air condition. And it's real. I want us to think about those that may have not had enough fuel in their car to maybe take them to the beach to catch the breeze. Our gospel says when one suffers, we all suffer. So let us ponder on that for a moment. My second major story is we hear about the drought. We hear about the extreme weather. And for many, all of us, we experienced the floods in the recent months, impacting our very lives. We watched as homes disappeared, as livelihood and stock tried to find a higher ground, or to find higher ground for the cows to have life. And we saw men, women, and children trying to find refuge wherever possible it was for them to be on a dry bit of space. When one suffers, we all suffer. And when one rejoices, we all rejoice. I am a Pacifika woman. In the Pacific, the impact of climate change, it has been seen for years. It has been felt. The rising sea levels that threatens to swallow our island homes is real. The damage we cover at the aftermath of a cyclone is real, not just for them, but for every Pacific Islander, no matter where you live in the world. Because we send money back home, it's a part of our DNA. We help to rebuild and to support. We help to give food and shelter to makeshift homes. Definitely no aircon and no fan in some of those places. Tonight, I need your help. Will you help me?
Yep. Yes.
Will you help me?
Yes.
I think we can do better than that. Will you help me?
Yes.
I need your help for climate justice and action. And so tonight I want you to I need a hand from you. So I need you, if you're able, to raise your hand. Whether you're left-handed or right-handed, just raise your hand. Give yourself a wave, everybody. It's good to be here. Now I just want you to bring it forward. Gently rest it wherever is comfortable. And the end to my reflection is simply this. My thumb, your thumb, is a symbol of whoever is closest to you. The guy sitting next to you, or the girl, your family member, or maybe a complete stranger. I'm sitting next door to Chris Bowen, everybody. The person that's closest to you. You could also think about it as your neighbour at home, whichever electorate you'll come from. I want you to think about it in your next door suburb. And tonight, think about the island homes, our neighbour tonight. Climate justice, climate action is important. My pointer, your pointer. Where's your pointer, everybody? There are many facts already that we've heard at COP26 or the Paris Agreement or different organisations that focus on climate change and uniting advocacy that tell us of the impact of climate change. As a united church, part of our commitment as a church is reduce our carbon emission at every level. Part of our commitment is also lobby the government to do something about it. Part of our commitment is to encourage our next generation of young people, Pacific Islanders, Indigenous brothers and sisters, and to help and to support. What's the next finger, everybody? And it's not the rude finger.
Middle.
Our middle finger. But if you look at your hand, it's actually the tallest, right?
Yep.
Tonight, we think about world leaders that make decisions that impact the vulnerable and the needy. And tonight, we will hear from a leader in our electorate here at Macnaghten. We will question them, we will ask them all the cool things and the hard questions. Our next one is our ring finger. It's actually proven. Scientific research that I've been searching all night on Google, maybe not. It's actually the weakest finger of our hand. Think about those that the impact of climate change is so real that they can't afford, that they need affordable housing, that they need our care and our voice. Who else is vulnerable in our community? Who are we representing tonight? And how are we standing up for them? When one member of the body hurts, we all hurt. And isn't that our call, regardless whether you are church, unchurched, young or old, our call as humanity, as human, is to stand along those most vulnerable in our community. And lastly tonight is our pinky. Who haven't we named? Who haven't we named?
Future.
We haven't named you. You are the body. You are the hands. You are the feet. You are the heart. You are the ears. And you are the voice to take action, to be courageous, to be bold, and to stand up and stand with me in our cause and our call for the world, Australia, to stand for climate justice and action. You are the body of Christ. Although you are diverse, although there are many of us, we are one. And when we are one, we are stronger, we are better, and we are awesome. Wouldn't you agree?
Amen.
And the people said,
Amen.
and the people said,
Amen.
just because, let's do it one last time. And the people said,
Amen.
My Lord.
My Lord.
Thank you, Mata. I think they elected a good moderator. Thank you for those kind words. Words that challenge, words that provoke, and words that really mean something to all of us. So we ponder it, and hopefully we can act on them. Thank you once again. But now, it's time for one of our favorite things to do with the Lord, Fasor, and conversation. Personal stories allow the listeners, this time it's us, allows us to feel and experience the realities of life through the lived experience and feelings of the storyteller. Stories move us to love. They move us to laugh, to cry, to be angry, and even motivate us to action. So let us sit back, relax, and let our storytellers share their life with us. Thank you.
Hello everyone. My name is Kiliona Mafufau Jr. and yeah, that's my dad. My parents were both born in Samoa, but have been living in Australia for over 22 years. They are both Australian citizens. I was born and raised in Australia. I'm 21 years old and this is my last year of uni, and I'm also doing part-time work. The only time I visited Samoa was when I went there with my parents in 2010. And we stayed there for 6 months. My parents helped to build 7 small Samoan huts. I loved our family's beautiful huts, beside the sea, which are at the edge of the mangrove trees. My father often took me fishing and I really enjoyed it, but unfortunately, those were the days. Sadly, it is unbelievable what climate change in 10 plus years has done to our home in Samoa. The sea level has been rising, and this is especially evident during the high tides. There are now only 2 huts left. Our little plot of land continues to be inundated by the seawater, and our main house is also very badly affected. My parents have been sending money over to help our family cope. I'm now also involved and contributing to this stressful financial ritual. Don't get me wrong, I really want to help my parents, and I feel proud to help our family back to Samoa. It's part of my identity of who I am, and I'm proud of it. I would like to end my story by sharing the one thing that I and many of my young friends know for sure. That is, if our government and other nations do the right things by taking climate change seriously, then we and all Australians will end up the better and the whole world will be safer. And if that happens, then I am confident that my family here and my family in Samoa, as well as many families throughout the islands of the Pacific, will also be safer and better. Thank you and God bless. Te lava, so for my young people.
Malolele, ko hingoa ko talitata, da ko lele mai me tonga. Good evening, everyone. My name is Talitata, and I'm a young Tongan woman currently residing here in Sydney. You may look at me and wonder why, out of all the important people here today, a young Tongan woman from Western Sydney is going to talk to you guys about climate change. If I'm being honest, I'm not really sure why I was chosen either. But I do know that God never puts you in a position where you aren't meant to be, so here I am. I didn't know what to say today, but one piece of advice I received was to speak from the heart. But when I think about climate change, my heart hurts. It cries for my Pacifika people here and back home. It cries at the sight of the rising sea levels that continue to eat up our islands. It cries at the families who've lost their lands, their livelihoods, and their abilities to provide. It cries at the lack of technology, equipment, and education to combat this issue. Climate change is no joke. It is real and it is happening around us. We only need to look here at our own backyard. And I'm sure you've heard it already tonight, but you're going to hear it again. Just 2 years ago, Penrith was the hottest city in Sydney, reaching 48.9 degrees Celsius. And every summer, Penrith continues to average some of the warmest days. If we don't, as a community, work together to raise awareness and combat climate change, the consequences can be devastating. Today it's the Pacific Islands, but tomorrow it will be so much more. We only have one planet, and I do not want to be part of the generation that could have done more but chose not to. This is for our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren. This is for our home and for our homelands. This is for our beautiful Pacifika. We as Pacifica communities are powerful together. So let's get to work. Malo.
Secretariat here in Suva, in the province of Rewa on the island of Fiji. The PCC is the chief ecumenical body in the Pacific region, with 33 member churches and 10 national councils of churches in 18 member countries and territories across our blue Pacific continent. The conversation is not only about how do we adapt and mitigate the impacts and effects of the ongoing climate crisis in our communities. The conversation now in our region is slowly becoming one of relocation as a result of displacement, of migration, and recognizing that there is a need for protocols to be put in place when we talk about these issues. The role of indigenous people and First people, people to be relocated from one country to another, including on inclusion of traditional leaders in this conversation. The conversations around free, fire, and informed consent. The role of accompaniment and affirmation and diaspora communities is very, very important in this context. But the reality is that we continue to see a lack of political will by our closest large neighbor, member of the Pacific Islands Forum, with whom we are visioning a 2050 Blue Pacific Continent strategy, Australia. So the question is, how will you really demonstrate your membership of the Pacific family in regards to the climate crisis?
Big thank you to our storytellers and also to our friend Rep from Fiji. So we are going to express our gratitude in the usual manner. But let us now do another favorite of us.